Hi. I'm robo-Suzie and today I'll talk to you about diabetes and headaches. Also don't forget to check out the link below, to find out how this guy reversed his diabetes. Turns out, the diabetes industry is selling us fake research. But back to our topic. Who hasn't gotten a headache ever? I know there will be no one who could rise up a hand. Most often we ignore headaches and try to suppress it with aspirin or paracetamol, but do you know diabetes and headaches could be related? It could be an indication that you are approaching abnormal blood glucose level. Now think again, is it wise to ignore your headache? Or is it time to check out your glucose level? When our body can't produce enough insulin to process the carbohydrates that we take with our everyday meal, glucose level rises. The carbs are actually turned into glucose in our body, and the glucose is like fuel for our cells. We get energy because our cells keep functioning with this fuel. Now, the problem is, glucose can't get into our cells by itself. Here comes the helper. Insulin. Insulin takes this glucose into our cells. Without enough insulin secretion, we will end up having high glucose level in our blood. This is how we become diabetic. And glucose as much as this, will lead to neuropathy or damage of nerves, exhaustion, severe headaches, and if untreated this can cause death. So, don't you just avoid headaches from now on. Let's know about the types to stay alert. Headaches during hyperglycemia. A patient is called hyperglycemic when too much sugar circulates in blood, and as I have told earlier, the sugar level rises if there is not enough insulin to handle it. So, you have already figured out that hyperglycemia would be a hallmark of diabetes. And sugar of this much could lead to damage of nerve fibers and blood vessels. Headache is the most common early symptom of hyperglycemia or diabetes, and headaches of this type often come with blurred vision, exhaustion, and sometimes confusion. So, don't ignore this one, otherwise you have to pay a lot and suffer a lot. Headaches during hypoglycemia. If hyperglycemia indicates high blood glucose level, then obviously hypoglycemia will mean low blood glucose level. Hypoglycemia can even occur in diabetic patients too. Yes, no need to think that diabetic patients will always have their glucose level high. Usually this happens when the patient takes more than the suggested dose of insulin or other diabetic medications. A blunt headache with vision problems, dizziness, sweating, shudder, and confusion are the symptoms of hypoglycemia, and headache is the starter. Even healthy people could become hypoglycemic if they take lower amount of carbohydrates in their meal. The quickest solution to hypoglycemia is to give the patient sugar or glucose, as this can be easily metabolized by our body to maintain the glucose level. And remember, if not managed in the early stage, this hypoglycemia could result in convulsions, make you unconscious, and could even lead to death. Neuropathy headaches. A high level of blood glucose could cause nerve damage or injury, which is medically known as neuropathy. Neuropathy in diabetes patients could make the situation worse. Nerves which originate from our brain and brainstem are known as cranial nerves, and these cranial nerves could be the victim of this neuropathy incidence, especially in diabetes patients, which will ultimately cause severe hammering headaches. Most shockingly, doctors don't apprehend these headaches often or misdiagnose as migraines, and as a result both diabetes and headaches remain untreated until something really bad happens. Here are some tips for immediate measurement when the headaches start. Massage the forehead starting from the center and keep doing it until the pain eases, or have a cup of coffee. We all know caffeine works like magic by decreasing the swelling of blood vessel, thus relieving pain. And whenever there is a headache, a cold press on forehead always helps. Well, the best solution is to not get a headache by keeping the glucose level under control. Not so high and not so low. You need to avoid taking extra or very low carbs, and be careful about taking insulin shots, and last but not the least, don't forget to check on your glucose level. That's it. Thank you. Please subscribe, comment, and like this video if it was helpful. See you soon.